Oh, hi. It's your buddy Mike Squires, the Couchers Podcast, episode number 209, and my guest, Ian Cowell. Now, it looks and sounds a little different. This intro does, at least, because I'm not at home. I'm traveling this weekend, and I didn't bring a microphone because I'm a dingling. So here we are, just like this. The interview was recorded in the champagne room back home, though, so you will get all of this great qualities that you've grown to know and love. I had a great time talking with Ian. He has a record out, a new record came out last month called Exceptional Goblins. And this record is full of a lot of fun shit. Tasty shred guitar, 80s synth references, video game music references, like Miami Vice Knight Rider kind of shit. And it's fun, and it's just fucking fun. And you should go give a listen. Um and the shreddy, sneaky, fun guitar stuff is really sneaky. It you don't hear it coming, and then all of a sudden it's happening, and you're like, yeah, that was nice. That was tasty. Go give a listen. Ian would appreciate it, and I recommend it. There you go. I had a great time talking with Ian. I hope that you enjoy this conversation. We go off a little bit on the East Bay because I spent some time, I grew up the first 10 years of my life were there. And then I was back there one of my formative young years when I discovered metal. And we kind of went off on a lot of tangents there. Hang in there. We'll get through that part. If you don't know what the hell we're talking about, don't worry. Um, so thank you, Ian. You're fucking great. Also, while we're thanking people, I want to thank all the people who support Couch Riffs on Patreon. Patreon.com/Couch Riffs. That's what makes this happen. It's what really, really, really what makes it happen. Also, guess what? I fucking finished the big video, the video that I've been working on for over a year. It's ridiculous. I can't believe it, but it's done. And people who have listened to this podcast sort of faithfully have heard me talk about it and reference it. People that listen to Golden Shower of Hits know what it is already because I've talked about it there. But it should be out shortly. I'm coordinating this release with Roadie Relief, and so thank you. Your Patreon support, you guys, really, really, really is what makes this happen. So thank you so much. It's also the only place where you can download the audio for the cover songs. Again, there are 12, including the epic benefit video. There are 12 videos that are like a singer or a percussion or whatever away. So the dam is going to break, and there's going to be a bunch of stuff coming. So thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate it. Thank you, Patreon people. You're great. Also, thank you, Variety Coffee Roasters. I drink Variety Coffee Roasters every day, except for when I'm in LA, because I don't know where to get it. Check out varietycoffeeroasters.com and look at their subscription service. It's easy. You click a couple buttons, they ask you some questions. How often do you want it? And then bing, bong, bang, it shows up in the mail, and you don't have to go to the store. It's automatic. Automatic for the people. Caffeine straight to you. That's it. How do you like that? I recommend Roadhouse. That's a real nice. There's something in Roadhouse for everyone. That's science fact. That's just unconscious knowledge. That's an LA reference, sort of. Thank you, Variety Coffee Roasters, for being supporters of Couch Riffs. You thought I was frozen. I wasn't frozen. All right. That's it. I'm going to jump into the episode. Again, thank you everyone for liking, sharing, subscribing, all the things. Hit the button. Don't smash it. You've spent a lot of money on your computer. Don't smash the button. That's foolish. Don't forget the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't be a fucking asshole.
There, we got the technical stuff out of the way. We saw the countdown, the whole bit. The semi-professional Couch Riffs media program. Welcome to the show, Ian.
Hey, if you're listening right now or watching, depending on your format of choice, you probably just heard some great stuff about River City Guitars. They're the store to check out. Or edit that out. Be careful.
Well, our new sponsor is Variety Coffee.
I have heard about them. I heard they have a subscription program. Actually.
They do have a subscription program. Yeah, it's a wonderful subscription program.
Nice. I should get on that. You know, I'm a bean man myself.
Is that right?
Yeah, I like coffee. The thing is, I have a friend who actually just roasted me some down in San Diego, and
oh yeah, nice.
He gave me a bag because our cat had recently passed away. He's like, let me get you some beans, and it was great. He's like, what do you like? And I was like, you know, the stuff you drink. I don't know names.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the guy who goes to the dispensary. He's like, I got White Widow, and it's like, it all does the same stuff, man. Like, it works on me. God blessed me with not great genes for absorbing things. So, except useless trivia. So I got to say, like, they sound like someone like me because I can set up the subscription to tailor to my taste. I might even learn a few things, right?
Hey, nah. Well, hey, let me ask you this: you are in the East Bay.
I am.
Where?
Yeah. I'm in a little place called Rodeo, California.
Rodeo.
Other side of Highway 4.
It sounds so fancy.
Yeah, you know, I think it was actually like a resort in the late 1800s, and then methamphetamine happened, and it just changed the whole landscape.
Is Rodeo over by the reservoir?
It's pretty close. It is a good couple stones throwings away.
What is the name of that reservoir?
Because you can get close to Pinole. The San Pablo Reservoir, San Pablo Dam Road.
I grew up fishing there.
I've been there a couple times, man. It was the spot.
My granddad used to take me fishing there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great fishing spots out here.
I was born in Concord.
See, I was born in Walnut Creek, but I lived in Concord because they checked my dad's credit score probably and realized we weren't good enough for their blood.
Walnut Creek didn't used to be as fancy as, I mean, I'm talking about the 70s. It was just...
Oh, dude, through like the 2000s, it was nothing. Now it's insane.
Yeah.
Like there's so much like new housing and apartments and BART rails and stuff going on. It's pretty wild to think about.
There were just
people
all
now talk about
like,
old Walnut Creek.
It just was all I cared about back then was that there were the canal trails. And
Yeah.
I would just get on my BMX bike. There was a great comic book store in Walnut Creek. I would collect my money from my paper route and whatever other odd jobs I would do. I'd ride.
Was it Flying Colors?
I don't remember what it was called, but I used a subscription service there, and you could reserve comics as they came in, and you had a little cubby in the, behind the counter, and you'd come in whenever, and they would just pull out your bag and like, all right, this came in, here it is. $20 or
Nice.
whatever.
Dang, that's sweet.
It was great, man. And there was a pretty good record store over there. What's the big park over there?
So there's a couple of them. There's a really big park off Ignacio Valley that's called Heather Farm.
Heather Farm. That's it.
My kids know it as the Purple Park or the Frog Park.
Good.
And I know it as the park that costs more gas to go to.
Let me ask you this. What grade school did you go to in Concord?
Dude, to be honest with you, I can't recall any grade school up until Hidden Valley Elementary, which was in Martinez. So I went to a lot of different little schools. I was in like Concord,
I went
Pittsburgh,
to a lot of schools too.
Yeah, I moved around quite a bit. And then ended up going to Hidden Valley. And then
I went to Hidden Valley.
You did?
I also went to Ignacio Valley. Valley View Middle. Right there by College Park. What's the high school? College Park High School.
Yeah, College Park High. That's where my uncle and my mom went.
Wow.
Probably some cousins at some point.
I used to skip school and just go smoke weed and buy records at Rasputin's and
yeah, exactly.
Cruise the
when
Sun
Tower
Valley
was still
Mall.
over there.
Yeah.
That's funny. I don't know if I've shown it to you. I got a song, a hit #1 song in my house, at least, about the Sun Valley Mall.
Is that right?
It is, yeah, 100%.
Is the Willows, is the Willows still there?
Willows are still there. They moved a Half Price Books into it.
Really? So it's thriving.
Yeah. It's somewhat thriving. What they did is they took the old Chevron corporate headquarters and collection, Hell Dominion that they had in there forever, right off 680. That all got scrapped, and they put in, what's it called now? The Villa, or it has like faux Italian architecture. So basically it looks like how Riverside did 25 years ago.
Nice.
It's got a good SoCal vibe. It's all like, it's like, oh, it's like I'm visiting San Diego outlets without really going.
Let me ask you this. Do they still have a Chuck E. Cheese there?
There is a Chuck E. Cheese, but not in the Willows. There's a recently built Chuck E. Cheese that's actually pretty close to Todos Santos.
They're still building new construction Chuck E. Cheese? That's a thing?
I'm not even kidding. I don't know what they got going on at corporate or what military funding they may have from up top, but they still have Chuck E. Cheese. But the thing is, animatronics aren't a deal anymore. Now they have music videos playing on the screen. And
really?
it's a trip.
Was Chuck E. Cheese still a thriving corporate dining entity when you were young, when you were a grade school kid?
I'll tell you this, most of those cool things still existed, which is why I'm 34 years old, like still really hyped up on it and doing the kind of stuff I'm doing. We're big on animatronics all the way up through probably high school, I want to say.
Yeah.
I was still buying CDs through college, man. Actually, up until like a few years ago.
A couple people have made animatronic videos recently that have been pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still people out there doing really neat stuff with animatronics. I know a guy, not like know him personally, but a friend through some circles that does puppetry stuff. I think he's on the East Coast, but he has a whole YouTube channel that's just, if he listens to this, he's gonna, give me a lot of shit about it. But I want to say it's kind of like Hogan's Heroes-esque, but involving lizards.
That sounds amazing.
It's pretty fucking cool. He deserves a lot more people to be involved with it. And I have another friend or someone I know who did something in secret with them, and their identity is still a mystery. So we can't say who it is, but they're involved in some great puppetry, and I'll send you a link later.
I wonder if they'd be interested in making a music video.
They do some pretty dang good music videos.
I'll bet. Huh. I love we're getting a little regional catch-up.
Yeah, this is fun. No one knows, like, even here where I'm at, we're mostly known as the town that Green Day is from.
Right.
But they went to Pinole Valley. It's not like they went to John Sweat and Crockett. They were even further down the road. So it's like, that's cool. They're one of the biggest names in the world. We also have Eric I don't think you could say the midget, but Eric the little person from Howard Stern.
He's from
was
there?
From here.
Huh.
A Oakland A's guy from like the 70s.
Huh.
We got a lot of cool people down in county, lots of it's a refinery town. It's great. We are like the East Bay's version of a Bruce Springsteen song.
That's pretty sweet.
Yep. No jobs. And we just lost our local Safeway and moved to the next town over.
Well, thank God all the real estate is really cheap around San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's where just opportunity and hard work collide.
Dude, yeah, let me tell you, it's a meritocracy out here. For anyone who can't see video and are listening, it's definitely sarcasm, because unless you're engineering futuristic sex robots in the metaverse, you're kind of boned.
I was just talking to someone who was like, "Yeah, I live in Richmond. It's really nice," and I was like, I started laughing. I was like, "Richmond is where you go to cop drugs and get stabbed."
Well, hold on, Mike. I think that's about 37th. You have the sandwich of Richmond, and you have Richmond in the hills, real close to El Sobrani and El Cerrito. Yeah. So that's the Primus, Les Claypool Richmond.
Right.
Then you have dangerous Richmond. Don't tell Grandma where you're hanging out or where the local show
I'm just
is.
Talking about 1981 Richmond.
Oh shit! Oh yeah, no, totally different.
Yeah,
give that guy hell.
That's just like
I thought it was recently
Hell's Angels and cars in the yard.
Anybody who calls you brother and, but you don't know him personally.
Right. That's it. That's exactly it.
So someone who's fit but doesn't work out.
Yeah, that's I've never had that luxury.
Yeah.
There were those
like,
guys.
Why is my catalytic converter gone in Concord?
There were those guys in high school. They never wore shirts and they were just ripped. And they just ate Twinkies and they didn't and smoked grass.
Yeah, it's like I listen to Pantera, but if that dude had a Pantera shirt, I'm steering clear of him.
That's we're onto it. We're mining.
Yeah.
This is Bitcoin mining.
Oh man.
When did you pick up the guitar? First, I want to say I want to like say this up top here, so that people kind of get an idea of what you do, because maybe to 30-somethings it's not clever. I don't know, but to me, it's really interesting and super clever, but also it sounds cool. I mean, what I hear in your music is 80s soundtracks and video game influences and just like jet skis and neon lights and like stripes cut in the side of hairdos with big swooping moose hairdos. Am I on it?
I think so, man. I think if this pink Metallica hat is any indicator, it's so. I'm, definitely popular culture is a huge thing, from anyone born now up through anyone under the age of 70 and then some. I mean, in the last 100 years since the advent of radio and television,
right,
there's no doubt about it that sort of entertainment, while people like to kind of cork sniff a little bit and downplay the fun, that's the thing that you get here. Let me put it in a fun way. Guys that are around my dad's age, which isn't a bad thing, around 60, right? They don't get it until they start drinking, and then they remember the Rocky montage,
right,
and then they understand, and it comes back. It's like, yeah, how badass did you feel knowing that fight was going to happen?
Right.
And you're getting ready. The Vince DiCola magic. I'm a sucker for it. I grew up, I was a video game kid. I moved around. I didn't have a lot of friends at first. Entertainment and music were my friends. And then, to cut ahead real quick, then I went through cool guy guitar man phase of I want to be in a band. I'm serious. I don't fucking joke around. Our photos are shitty, but it doesn't matter. We're here to play your local tavern and not have a good time. But I really want you to talk about pedals with me. And I'm really sensitive and I like all that stuff, but that's not cool. I'm a cool guitar dude, even though the song is about wizards and axes and shit.
Yeah.
There's like a line for people. And I think one day you have children and you find yourself playing with toys again and everything is old is new again. And I've just, I don't know. It's weird. I basically have stumbled into this fucking weird mine of emotions for a lot of folks. And funny enough, people in my age range, people younger, people older, are really gravitating towards it. And I think it's the most scary and hilarious thing going on in my life right now. And it's pretty fucking sweet.
Let me ask you this. What do we call this genre? Is there a specific name for this genre or subgenre of
I don't know, man. It's funny. I'm kind of like locally too. I'm in a couple of little niche pockets of people. So I don't even know what it's called. I just say I make music for nerds and music for dorks, but it's not for anyone in particular. It's for people to have a good time. I don't know. I've had people say that I'm meme music. Or younger people say like, "Oh man, you're in it for the memes." I'm like, "No, I have a budget and a green screen and a pink guitar, and it's just it's the stuff that naturally comes out." I'm a big fan of AOR rock and power metal and goofy ass music and video game soundtracks and everything under the sun. And with the time and energy and the shit in my brain that comes out at the end of the day. It's just, I don't know. I feel like every time that kind of question gets asked, I give a completely different answer. And I think one day when I have my book that can like gestate all these ideas, I guess like growing up, I was always a fan of like personalities in music. And I don't mean like pop stars necessarily, but weirdos.
Right.
You know, I was always a Zappa guy.
Yeah.
Always into Primus, always into Faith No More, and wanted to try and be that kind of thing. But I also really like dudes like Cornelius, who's this Japanese record producer and musician who just has the most really cool sound collages of sample work and shit across different decades, and it comes across very familiar but unique to that artist. And that's what I try and bring people in with a bit, I guess, is hitting you over the head with these references and sound bites and things, you know, but also making it more like the late night drunk public access television network amalgam of it. Hey, not really trying to go for the neon and the DeLoreans and the fast moving cars, and lots of people do that and make it cool, but more of, you know, to me, the late 80s through the early to mid 90s were not the way it's been represented again through pop culture right now.
Right.
And while that stuff is really fun and really cool, people are making music that is way more fucking produced than it was then. And so
there's so much more technology. It's so much easier to make music now.
It's ridiculous. And it's so easy to just go down a rabbit hole with that stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, long story short, I just say it's guitar music, but it's for everyone. But I guess it's not too, because I've got my little circle of
it's for everyone, really, but whether they accept it or not, that's up to them.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's definitely music for myself. I think for a lot of musicians, it's always for yourself first and foremost. You say it's for your fans, you say it's for people out there and this and that, but when I was making this stuff, it really was just, I'm trapped in my house and I don't have employment and I have access to all this stuff, and I can't do shows with my band and I can't travel. So here we go.
Right.
It's the deep dive. Like, everyone started a podcast, everyone started doing video stuff, and it's just been the little gravel path, and people are laying out stones, and I don't know where the hell it's going, but it rules.
Let me ask you this.
I just know I'll get ideas, man. I just get these ideas like, I just want to make a video of that, and it's like, it's fun. People have really gravitated towards it. I'm honestly surprised. Like, I love your show, man. And just even doing this is a trip to me.
Oh, get out of here.
I'm serious, man. There's been a lot of just great conversations you've had on here, folks, and I'm happy to be a part of the continuing tapestry and
it's one long conversation.
Story.
I mean, I just say really the same shit over and over. But let me ask you this: you named off a bunch of popular bands that are outsider sort of acts, right? From the Bay Area? From Oakland, I think. Did you ever hear of a band called Idiot Flesh?
No.
Oh fuck, they're the weirdest. They're like Bungle and Zappa on psychedelics on a bad trip. And they dressed up and put on an incredible stage show. They made like homemade percussion instruments, like big springs that they would hit. They had all this. They were virtuoso musicians. Everyone, like Queen style harmonies, but scary.
Hell yeah.
It was incredible. It was the best live show I've ever seen.
When was this, would you say? Like
90s.
That they were really shown?
They've done music since. They had like I'm not going to think of the name of the I think the guy's name was Nils Frederick.
Okay.
He had a band called Charming Hostess after that, and some other I'll send it to you. It's fucking
I'd love to hear that stuff.
Amazing.
That's the thing, man. There's so many like just wacky stuff in every single city out there in the world, and it's just a matter of it having a platform of any type. And there's still Dude, we're still host to some of the weirdest fucking people, and it's the best thing, because I will say that's the best part of the Bay Area is I can go out and do this, and I'm not going to get really a weird look. I mean, it depends on the venue and it depends on the lineup, but for the most part, if people are doing a show, they know what they're getting into, and they get it, and it's nice to see that, especially with shows coming back around. The Bay Area still continues to open its let its fleet. I always say this and I always fuck it up. Let its freak flag fly. There we go.
What do you say?
Got it.
When you're not paying attention.
Let me see if I can do it fast. Let's see, Mike. They let their freak flag. I can't even start it. Immediately, the R's and the L's are messing up.
It's like she sells seashells.
Dude, yeah, you could put a pistol to the head. I would. Well, of course, I'd mess it up more then. That's a pretty life or death situation.
That's scary. Yeah. You know how I think it's pretty easy. We can all say that Black Sabbath is. They are the Godfather band. They are the genesis of heavy metal.
I bought a 61 reissue SG. I fucking love Tony Iommi.
There are arguments to be made for other, whatever. But who is the Black Sabbath of your genre of music? Is there a
the Black Sabbath of my genre? This also goes back a little bit in its tendrils with a little bit of Bay Area history.
Really?
So, and that it ties. You ever heard of the fucking Champs?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I love the Champs. They are huge. I worship those guys. I've met members of them occasionally at other shows, and I always are
they from Sacramento?
Become this stuttering. So Tim Green, who's one of the founding guys, he's up in Grass Valley, and so he records a lot of Oakland bands go up there, and they love working with him. He's just got the thing. My brother lives up there too, and he works at a restaurant and a venue, so sure he gets to run into him quite a bit. But that dude's just always been blessed with making thick, chunky, fucking great guitar tone. Their compositions are great. And what's funny is those dudes would do video game covers. So they would throw some stuff out there on occasion, and that was the early days of people putting any game music into things, probably in the 90s. And some of the people they influenced big time were you have two bands, one that was from Sacramento called The Advantage.
Uh-huh.
And then I think the drummer in that band also plays guitar in Hella.
Oh, maybe Hella is who I'm thinking of. They're from from Sacramento, right?
Yeah, and so the dude in that band is in The Advantage, and then at the same time you have the Mini Bosses, and they are from Phoenix. And so those guys were the early days of just being straight up video game bands that were full on rock bands. There were no synths, no drum machines, nothing. It was like two guitars, bass, drums, instrumental, and playing shit that wasn't meant to be played by human hands. That was all done in a computer. So you get some crazy harmonies, and you could definitely feel the Champs magic going, but it'd be like a song from Goonies on the NES or the Tetris theme or something.
Right.
And so those dudes really laid it out for a lot of us who also like aggressive guitar-based music and love video game music. So it's spent a good 20 plus years, and in the grand scheme of things, a lot of obscurity, but it's now gone on to forming giant festivals.
It seems like investing your time, creativity, and energy into such a niche style of music is a labor of love.
Yeah.
Big time. Are there any interesting opportunities playing conventions and like corporate? I mean, especially where you are, there are a lot of video game developers, right?
Dude, there's way more opportunities than I thought there were in the first place. And I was just doing this, like you said, it's a labor of love. I was on another podcast a while back talking to the composer of this game, Pilot Wing 64, and this dude made this shit in the 90s, like on a sampler. And, he's got guys going out in full New York City studios and going and putting on concerts with his music. And the one thing we told him is that stuff to us is our jazz and blues standards.
Right.
This is our Americana almost. And so just getting to reinterpret it and all the things that maybe technology couldn't give you visually at the time, but you thought it was so much bigger than it was.
Right.
You know, it's a new way of doing that. And so I've spent years shitting on cover music because that's what you do in your teens and 20s.
Right.
And then you maybe join some cover bands or you play some wedding gigs and yeah. And you know, with my band birthday, we'd done some video game covers and kind of became a part of that community too, though we were doing originals. And I just kind of stumbled into really doing it, even though I was listening to bands that would cover it full time, just because of the pandemic, man. I was just at home and we're already doing so much original music and I was kind of starting to feel burnt. And so I would just do video game covers to kind of challenge myself and transcribe and see how many crazy harmony parts I could actually figure out on different instruments and on synthesizers and on piano. And funny enough, doing stuff like that led to now I'm going to Minneapolis in a couple of months and doing a wedding gig in October doing video game music, and you meet composers and people who do.
Are you doing these gigs in Minneapolis in this wedding gig with pre-recorded background music and playing solo guitar? Or are you bringing a band?
It depends on the situation. I'm not going to give too much away for some things, but some situations are with bands and some are just by myself. Like things I'm doing locally, like I got a show next week that's just going to be tracks running. If they have projection, I do video editing to go with everything so that, you know, if you know the material, you can look at a screen and kind of see what it is. But, you know, even when I play the shows, I don't go out and tell you like, hey, everybody, this is from such and such. You might remember this one.
Right.
You know, it's
not like
I want someone who's never heard this stuff to just really get into how fucking sick some of these compositions are and how crazy it was that it was, you know, would sound this way on a Super Nintendo. And to us, what we thought was like fucking Dream Theater level music.
Right. What is I mean, I can tell that you don't aspire to do it like this forever. What is the fucking top of the mountain like?
To the top of the mountain,
like Ghost style. Could you imagine?
That would be sick, man.
Huh?
I could. You know, it's stranger things have happened. No pun intended for some folks out there. But no, dude, it's the whole thing is wild to me. I don't even know what the top of the mountain before was even getting money from Spotify, and like that shit is like a regular occurrence now and is weird on its own. So it's the goalpost keeps moving, but I keep that in check, especially with my noggin and mental health, because it's really easy to burn out. And it's, you know, something you spend years wanting people to pay attention to anything you do creatively, and then you get it, and then it can be a lot at once. So I don't know, man. I just want to keep doing it. I just know that I love playing music. I love performing for people, and I've already made it really clear to people that it's not just, hey, I'm Ian Cowell and I just cover video game music. I put out a record of covers. I've done EPs, but I'm very just into creating anything. So I love making really bad but good videos and multimedia projects. And I don't know, I'm enjoying life where it is right now. And I'm not stressed in the ways I was for a long time, kissing a lot of people's ass.
There's a lot of ass around. If you cruise around trying to kiss ass too much, this is too much ass. Your back hurts, your knees hurt.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah.
And also depending on someone's diet, it doesn't always taste that good. So depends on the ass you want to kiss.
Not enjoyable. Not enjoyable.
But no, I don't know, man. It's like I think the one thing I've said is I wanted, with this project at least, I want to play Magfest, which is a yearly event in Maryland at the Gaylord Convention Center in National Harbor. And I think it's like 30,000 people, but it's nothing but it's a music and gaming festival. And it's a whole, you know, it's a packed room, and you have people playing, you know, shit from The Legend of Zelda and Contra, but you have fucking line arrays flown. And so that's, you know, I've done gigs with big sound systems, but to have it solely be the point
Wait a
of a
minute.
show like that is just wild.
This is a gamer and music convention, so it is specifically the music. All of the music that's being played is specifically game music.
Or it's stuff that is just on the fringes of it. So even if it's not stuff from a game, it's also people who do original music, but maybe their synthesizer is an old Nintendo system that's been modified, or they have circuit bent technology. Or they'll fly out people from Japan who didn't even know their shit's popular over here, that band's tour, doing this stuff, and have them perform. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised. It seems like there's a convention for every conceivable option of every, it's like the scene where Doctor Strange sits down and has his head spin around like Linda Blair. And he's like, I just saw 1,000,001 options of what kind of shit might go down. And that's like the convention world.
Yeah, dude, it's so wild. I think about that. I'll be on Facebook, and I love joining, mostly because I like seeing people fight, but not taking part in it myself. Facebook groups about gear and equipment, because that's the thing. Once you start hyper-focusing and not actually, like, trying to write music or just get better at being yourself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've already lost it. But some people, that's their thing. If it makes you happy having 30 PRSs, fucking do it. I wish I had the money for 30 PRSs. That's awesome. But you get what I find, and maybe this makes me sound like a creep, I like seeing someone who will post, like I saw this dude, I forget what it was for some amp modeler I don't even fucking own. I'm just a nerd. And this guy will just post videos. He's like, hey, I'm down at, so-and-so's barbecue joint in Memphis, gonna be playing the night. And it's just this older dude who really likes this particular amp modeling unit. But then I fell down this rabbit hole of this guy is making a living just playing barbecue joints and all these other little small mom and pop shit in one part of the continental US. But the most important thing is this dude is loving it. He's having a great time. He's fulfilled. His band is fucking on fire. I don't know if they're doing church standards, covers. It doesn't matter. The dude rips.
Right.
And I think, it's really easy to get caught up in, what does your music represent? What are you trying to say? What are you doing here? Oh, it's based on that? It's not as important. It's like, if you're getting something out of it and it's giving you a really solid energy and you're getting that from someone else, dude, then you're hooked into it. And like, I didn't expect doing this. And I think if there is a deity out there, I'm getting karmic whiplash for any time I talked any shit on someone who had a gimmick.
Right.
Because whatever mine is, I fucking enjoy it. And it's a lot of fun. And, if it's paying some bills, it's even more fun.
The crazy thing is, like this guy playing the barbecue joints, depending on what kind of lifestyle he maintains, he might be living perfectly comfortably. Things might be pretty fucking cush for him.
It's funny when you meet those guys that's usually the wake-up call. I had a music teacher personally and in college, and he got me on another head trip where he would give you very rude reality checks. He was from another generation for sure.
Yeah.
Amazing teacher. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago from cancer, but I remember I took lessons with him when I was like 20 or 21. And he's like, how old are you? I told him, he's like, oh, it's too late for you. Give up. You should learn some Mahavishnu stuff. I'm going to give you this transcription and you'll learn that. But he's like, you already look too young. You're not pretty enough to do anything popular. Like, this guy was also like knocking over cigarette trucks when he was 13 in Vallejo and like playing bars underage. Like, he had a very different fucking lifestyle than a lot of people, but he knew what it meant. We had a college class where he took you to Antioch every Sunday. It was a 1-unit class. You put bands together. He knew, like, all right, we got 10 guitarists. No, we have 4 guitarists, 3 bassists. You're going to learn to drum. And guess what? The singer makes all the rules because that's the rule of the class.
Right.
And it was to teach you to not be an asshole and teach you to work together. And it was all covers. And I've never appreciated and hated Mustang Sally any more than a class like that. But it definitely opens your eyes to, like, do you think you want to be a working musician, or is it you have this idea that's been kind of fed to you?
Right.
What is it? Do you want to have the hurry up and wait experience? And some people get a real taste for it and loved doing it. And that was something where it was like, well, I don't even like some of these songs, but I really like playing for these people and seeing what they get out of it. But long story short, now I get to do that with shit that I also enjoy playing and other people do. And I get drunk dudes every show like, fucking Mario Kart, man. I remember that shit. And then they tell you like a really tragic story about their dad from when they're that age. But the connection is there. And it's cool to show people like, yeah, like you can make some really bitchin' guitar music out of this stuff.
Yeah.
That you didn't think was possible.
That's awesome. What a cool teacher. I'm sure
he was
like
awesome.
I
I had to stop taking lessons to pay rent. And then he told me I was a quitter, and it was like, dude, I have to have a house to live in. I can't do it. And then funny enough, then I had a bandmate years later who introduced me to his teacher in a school he taught through in Benicia. And it ends up being my old teacher's best friend. And then he taught me for a while.
Yeah.
And that guy got me down a big improvisation trick. It was, trip. It was like one dude was like the Sith Lord of guitar teachers because he had a black super strat with a humbucker in the bridge. He had like a JB.
Yeah.
And then the other teacher had a white strat and like opposite neck colors that are single coil. Like one guy taught you Robin Ford and one dude taught you Little Anthony.
Did you ever go down that Mahavishnu path? Did you ever get in there?
a little bit, man. It was, I realized
really
I didn't. I like listening to it. I realized pretty quickly that I didn't have the dedication to the mechanics of it. Like I practice, but I practice things I'm going to actively apply, or if I'm teaching someone else. That's a quick fucking way to learn, is when you're suddenly teaching somebody, you're like, oh shit, this is outside of my wheelhouse.
Right. The fun thing about learning and playing or trying to play that Mahavishnu material is that it's in the same way of playing Rush songs. It's not like trying to nail Mustang Sally, where it's like there's a difference between a good and a shitty version of Mustang Sally. And when some folks are really firing and playing Mustang Sally, it's like, God, I'm so sick of this song, but these folks are smoking. And
when the dude's got the intonation just right and the bend, and maybe you're a little loose too. You had your rolling rock, and
the Mahavishnu stuff, though, it's I wouldn't say clinical, but you don't have to have.
It's precise.
You don't have to have a behind the beat swagger. It ain't like that.
No. You gotta. I think the trick to getting good at that stuff is having a coked out Miles Davis yelling at you.
That's that's good motivation.
You know, I had a military dad. I'm gonna tell you, someone barking at you is a quick way to get shit under your fingernails pretty quick. So maybe that's a part of it too.
Bay Area. Was your dad a Air Force guy?
He was a Navy
guy. Yeah.
So he wasn't in there too long, but. He was definitely, it stuck with him, and he's a total teddy bear now. Now he looks like he should sound British, like he kind of looks like Bob Hoskins a little bit, but older. Like,
did he play music?
He speaks and he's American.
Did he play guitar? Does your dad play guitar?
Oh yeah. My dad is a good chunk of why I also play music. He was the family inspiration.
Talk to me about that.
So my brother and I. He was always like in bands when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Then he took a break for a while. He was single dadding it with both of us, and got rid of a bunch of gear. But he, that's my first exposure to a full plexi, to multiple Gibson SGs. And it's probably also why I didn't pick up music right away, is because you're surrounded by it. Like my kids don't give it, they think it's cool that like I have a YouTube, but they don't give a shit like of what the different makes and models are. That's just something else. And it was the same with him. He had all these cool guitars that now when I think about it, I'm like, fuck, if I started a little earlier, I'd be tearing it apart, but I wouldn't have the experiences now. But my dad we were his roadies. We would go to places like the Pound when that existed in San Francisco, which is closed now. He was in a metal band for many years where we helped load his gear in, and if I was lucky, I'd get to go in and see the bands.
He was in a metal band?
Yeah, he was in a band for a very long time that's still around in I think Pittsburgh or Antioch.
Yeah.
They're called Suburban Paranoia. They've been like the local that part of the Bay
Yeah.
metal band that everyone had tenure in. So he used to work in the warehouse of a Guitar Center, and his manager was the bass player. They became close, and then my dad was one of 2 guitar players for a good chunk of years, and that really got me wanting to play music. Was if I didn't have anything to do on a Friday night, if I didn't have plans with friends, I had to come with him. So we'd get in the truck and we'd go out to Pittsburgh, and they had the best fucking cover of Detroit Rock City I had ever heard. And that was a big one for me, of realizing like covers could have a lot of power.
Yeah.
Was this dude who just went fucking ape shit on the vocals, and maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was, but dude, I'm like 13.
Yeah,
It
you're
blew me
impressionable.
away.
That's
You
what
know?
it's about. It made an impact.
Yeah, it was pretty huge. Also, like my first time realizing my dad smoked pot, so I was also kind of scared.
My dad's a doper.
Oh man, and it's with all the things you learn years later, that it's like, oh shit, dad is pretty cool. No, he was been in bands for a while. Then he was in a Venom tribute band
Get the fuck
called
out
Welcome
of
to
here.
Hell. Yeah.
Really?
My dad loves to talk about. My dad's the shit, dude. He'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember this one show we played with Brockus Helm." Like you can't have a story because he's got stories.
Wow, he was in a Venom cover band.
Yeah, and then I worked for his drummer for many years, who also got me into. I got some stories of these guys. They were called Welcome to Hell, and they practiced in the back of a DVD store in Pacheco, or right on the Pleasant Hill Pacheco border.
Sure.
So that was the next, big. I think I was like later in high school when they did that, and they went and played with a bunch of legacy metal acts that would tour around.
Oh, that's rad.
They like became friends with that DJ Billy Steele, who unfortunately recently passed away. So they'd come out to shows, and I didn't realize how cool this shit was really at the time until I like started really going down a rabbit hole, and he gave me some Merciful Fate demos, and it kind of cracked my skull open a bit.
This is so much cooler than my dad turning me on to crack. Wow.
Oh man,
a Venom cover band.
Yeah,
Well, in Pleasant Hill, when I lived there in Pleasant Hill, 7th grade, I sat in front of my sound design, component stereo system with, I think it was the album Possessed. What's the album with them on a beach? They're on a beach, looking evil. Is it Possessed, or is it In League with Satan? Maybe In League with Satan, probably.
Might have been that.
Yeah.
I want to say that's right because you're giving the lived experience nod of that's got to be it. You've seen it,
and just like asked Satan to make me a grown-up soon, just fast, just make me a grown-up. So, and then I never had any curfew or any rules or anything, so it didn't matter. I didn't need to be an adult soon.
Yeah,
but I was doing all the. I could. I had my own record player, my own records, so I could play the backwards stuff.
Nice.
The Iron Maiden and the Venom stuff. Slayer had the Join Us.
You want to see how far the demons can take you, that all these mothers are scared of.
Oh, it's so good. The funny thing is, all that stuff is like, it's like big time wrestling.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I don't want to get too far down a rabbit hole and piss anyone off. And I don't mean to, but I just look at religion as big time wrestling. Same fucking deal.
Let me tell you, I won't talk about too much my day gig. I help out on a friend's friends have a website. I don't want to get myself too deep, but I look at local businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I started looking at a lot of churches, and it's pretty funny seeing like they could be on I was wearing my WrestleMania shirt yesterday. I wish I had that on now, because you could have exchanged any face with someone in an evangelical building. Not saying anything about anyone's beliefs, but the way it's presented to me on a web page is like a show flyer, or who's going to go out there kicking ass tonight, but in the name of the Lord and with a really good digital reverb.
Really,
Those
really good.
I'll tell you, worship people, if you ever want to figure out something in AV or in your home studio, you go to anybody who lives in Tennessee or has PreSonus equipment, and they will fucking walk you through gain staging probably better than the dude at the local bar. That's the next person you talk to.
There's a whole section at Sweetwater for worship, worship organizations.
Dude, a huge chunk of change. It's incredible.
Let's start a
Before
church.
I was doing all this, I did AV for a decade almost, and everybody, I didn't get it because I didn't go to church, but I'd be like, man, we have some fucking badass front of house dudes. Like, it's kind of weird they're all Christian. Like, I didn't get it. Like, it's like, yeah, dude, they were all doing this shit in churches. Like, they really already know like a 32 channel mixer. The rest of us were doing shit at like house shows and punk shows and shit.
Like
little
no
like
mixer,
6-channel boards.
a microphone
Yeah,
plugged
or
into
like,
a
oh,
twin
it's-
reverb. Turn it up, dude.
Yeah, I just have my little 10-watt crate. Oh, it's fine. Just turn it up all the way. That's why you have 2 channels.
Put it out in front of you.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is kind of it's showy.
Yeah,
it is. It does have the vibe of wrestling a bit, which is fine.
Showbiz.
I like wrestling.
I like showbiz.
Yeah, I married into a Catholic household, and let me tell you, I've gone to some early mass. They got music going. It's cool.
Oh man, there's the only thing worse than a Catholic wedding is a Catholic funeral.
I've unfortunately been to a few of those in the last 10 years.
They're so long, man. There's there's long, and there's the call and response things. On the occasions that I've stumbled into these things, they're also kind of scary. It's like,
oh, dude, yeah. I'll tell you this: don't get stoned and go to one of those. Let me tell you, I've accidentally had the body of Christ a few times, and have like my aunt-in-law looking at me like, "We all know you weren't dipped." My kids are though; they're safe.
Okay, so
it's cool.
Do they know your dad is like in league with Satan?
They love my dad. No, they're all. My dad's actually a pretty spiritual guy. He's gotten the older he gets,
Is like a Tom Maria kind of guy.
Yeah, he's chilled out a bit. I think having grandkids too, like I've seen my pops do some stuff that I remember joking about like in school to other kids, only to realize like no one's dad should be doing that. Like he you don't
have to throw him under the bus.
No, it's not throwing under the bus. He'd probably tell you this stuff himself, and I won't give detail, but he didn't take shit. He still doesn't.
Yeah.
But I think now is the point where we kind of tell him like, all right, there's certain things you just let go of. the Clint Eastwoods are kind of hanging up their hats.
Yeah.
But he's a cool guy. He's a sweetheart, and I do his setups on his guitars. So I'm trying to get him to change out the electronics on his Flying V.
What is he playing?
He has a Cherry. I want to say it's a 58 reissue of a Flying V. He used to have a really, really nice kind of like natural finish one, but his rehearsal spot got broken into in like 2002 or 3, and they took a bunch of his shit at the time. That was one of his favorites, but he's got a Gibson that he's really into. I think the frets need some work personally, but that's the thing. That guy can play.
Your dad shreds a Flying V.
He does. He doesn't fuck. Here's the thing. My dad is I got another thing to thank that dude for, is turning me on to the Schenker brothers. Michael Schenker is like one of my top 5 influences of all time.
Have you seen him live?
I'm big on MSG. I have not. I want to so bad.
I've seen him a few times, and it's the best.
He like looks better as time goes on.
Well,
he doesn't even look the fucking same anymore.
He had a patch of rough road.
He had to be completely patched in, and he had like a Gandalf the Gray into Gandalf the White situation.
Yeah.
He's all fucking fit now. Like, I wouldn't fuck with Michael Schenker.
He is such a phenomenal guitar player. Such a touch. When I saw him play, it was my timeline's probably fucked up here, but it was within 6 or 9 months of seeing Jeff Beck. And it was every bit as good. He was every bit as good. Like touch sensitive, his bends, everything, his tone. And the thing is, he uses almost nothing.
Yeah.
like a volume pedal, I think a tube screamer, and 2 delays.
Dude, he doesn't need shit. That is the ultimate example of tone is in the fingers. Tone is in his balls. It's through his spinal fluids. Like the guy, you can't find even videos where people are like, I don't know, man. I saw this Rock Blast footage where this is better and that. Even on a bad night, big air quotes on that, right?
Yeah.
The touch is there. There's footage from like, I want to say it's like late 2000s where it might even be like a whack-in or an open air fest, but it's with UFO during a reunion, and Uli comes out and they do Doctor, and the opening is them sharing licks, and so Uli has his Uli technique, and it's perfect. And some people are in there debating about like, well, Michael's tone is to this and Michael's tone is to that. Dude, if you went to your local Chud Fuckles pubbery down the block and you had those 2 fuckers in front of you and like 5 other people in there, tell me that wouldn't be the most magical thing you have ever experienced. You're lucky you're getting the compressed like 16-year-old shitty ass converted version.
Yeah.
And you can tell how good the touch is right there. People talk about harmonically rich or a British sound. I'm getting on my Shanker soapbox.
No, this
quick.
is great. I love
it. But dude, man, everybody who cuts out their mids, I'm like, I don't know what mix engineer told you that. You got to crank them all up, man. That guy's got the magical, the Stan Bush level, the touch, to bring it back to your Transformers fans out there.
So a buddy of mine is his road manager. Right?
Ooh.
So I was asking him, like, holy shit, he sounds so good. And apparently at soundcheck, he soundchecks for a long time. And, you know, his amps are dimed. It's not a volume pedal. He uses a wah, 2 delays, and maybe that's it.
Is it like is his wah usually like what, like a third or a half cocked to kind of
so swell? He can get that honky sound, right? That nasal sound. It's so fucking good. And he walks around and tapes off spots on stage where he gets his desired feedback, and sort of like,
oh man,
so that
that's good,
just so that in the house it sounds the best. And that's, you know, like, I just don't know. I don't know if people do that anymore. I think that is an old craftsman style way of doing shit. Like, he gives a fuck.
Dude, I miss that. That's the one thing I do. I feel maybe that's the trade-off, is like, now I get to play in front of like, I get audiences. That's great, but I don't get to just feed back a fucking amp in a creative way, not the unintentional, oh shit, look, drop it down to 0 on the controls. Like, I do miss getting to, you know, of course I don't get the luxury of, you know, a sound check where I can find the spots. Like these days I'm in my line check era right now, so I've just got to make sure my shit's good.
Sure.
But I miss getting to play with feedback. And hey, that's the end. Let's say that's the end of the road. Where's the pinnacle? It's when I can get controlled feedback from a nice cabinet and no one gives me shit. I'm not taking over everyone's strike time.
Let me ask you this. Right. It's in my writer. Fuck off. What are you using live? Tell me about what kind of rig you use.
I got a fun little hodgepodge over here right now. So up until 2018, the most recent thing I was bringing out was like a late 70s Music Man 210.
Yeah.
And extremely fucking hard to control. And then I was running different gains into that. So I'd use a Maxon Tube Screamer. I have an OD808 reissue, an old Blues driver.
I have the first one, yeah.
Yeah, dude, they're great. And that's the thing, I no gain on my dirt pedals. And then it was just turning the amp up a lot and playing with volume and tone controls. And it wasn't really working because in the band I'm in, we were running tracks, and we start doing club nights where, you know, I'd play with someone, I'd hear guitar in their music, and sometimes they show up and it's a DJ set. And it's like, well, fuck, we're the band set. So I went to LA to do our record release in 2017. And now enough times passed where I can say this, got totally fucking shafted on that show. Stiffed on payment, first like real band fight with one of my best friends, and got drunk and yelled at each other later. But I brought that amp down there, and I said, dude, you need me to bring a mic? He's like, why the fuck would you bring a mic? I got a 57, dude. You're good. I should have known when he got defensive about having an SM57 that there wasn't going to be one at the venue, and there wasn't. And they shut down the show early, so they gave everyone short set time so we could have a set. The dude admitted that he was all coked out. It was nothing but subs, and I'm playing this like lightning speed solo for the first time live. Could hear none of it, and I'm giving the big rock energy face. I don't want to let people know how shitty it is. Right. It was a good show because I met like 5 really great friends from the night. One of my buddies, Jerry, is a photographer, and it was the first photo he took. And it comes up in like, memories on Instagram or Facebook. And I always tag him like, hey, this is the night where we were about to sock each other in the face over sound issues. And you captured it. And like, that's how we became friends. So good came from it. But I did it. And I brought out this amp and I'm like, man, I'm hauling this thing. I'm already schlepping gear for my day job. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to check out the world of amp modeling. I'm going to be that guy. And so at the time I got a head rush pedal board on clearance.
Rad.
No one wanted to try them because,
because it wasn't.
I don't know what it is. It
wasn't an X effects.
No, it wasn't an X effects. It wasn't a Helix. It was affordable. I mean, like the price, dude. Manufacturing prices are crazy now. Now it's like $1,100, but I think at the time I got it for half of what it was retailing for, and I didn't dig it at all. It doesn't sound like the real thing. It doesn't. And then I started really diving into impulse responses and cabinet simulations. And once I finally started getting something that sounded like what I would always get regardless of what the brand of amp is, because you always get your fucking sound. Right. That's why people hate a lot of gear anyways, is because, I still sound like the same assholes playing the same riffs. And it's like, well, yeah, man.
You are.
You always are going to be, but you want to hear, play the same asshole riffs, but have them just sound really good. So
there's a reason why every Volkswagen van has a sticker on the back that says, wherever you go, there you are.
It's, hey man, it's life advice and tone advice. Yeah. And, I'm not a big, I spent years having different amps and bringing out cabinets and stuff. My favorite cabinet is still here. It was my dad's, but I keep it at my house. It's a 70-something Bassman 215 with some electro voices in it. The electro voices were found in the dumpsters at his old apartment. So when we're throwing them out, as he said, some tweakers don't know what they had. So then we put them in this cabinet, and then I have some grill cloth on the other side of the room I'm looking at I got from Mojo Town that I haven't put on it yet because I was debating changing out the speakers. But so what I do for shows, I just have I have my pedal board. I got my little patches made so I can quickly change shit. I've had the massive boards before with all sorts of modulation and effects, and I find that stuff I want to do in a record. I don't like tap dancing. I want to look out. I love the stuff, but I'm pretty much everything is like, well, it's my British sound and my British sound plus tape echo and a little bit of boost.
Right.
And so now I've just crafted, even though, on a record, I have a lot of stuff with, I'm all about peaks and valleys and range. When I play live shows, it's nothing but just the rippers. I want it to be guitar moment.
Rad.
And so I stick to it's gain and gain plus echo. And even then it's not even I don't even use a lot of dirt. I've managed to get modeling to the natural enough sound to where I feel like, okay, I get good pick response. So I run my analog board, which is nothing but dirt pedals, into this digital one, which is just it's a model of like a Bogner on the red channel with no dirt. My Tube Screamer, my Blues Driver, and I have a Friedman dual pedal that I don't even use the high gain part of that. I use the low gain channel with all the gain dipped out.
Right.
Just so that I'm stacking the circuits and
the
getting
gain dipped out and the volume up.
Yeah, exactly. Right. For everything. And so what I want to do is I have a Seymour Duncan power stage. It's a little 200 and something watt Class D. And I split the signal out of my multi effects. So I take everything before the impulse response and it goes into the cabinet. So I can still get, an actual cab sound if I like that, and then send everything else to front of house.
And it's also...
So I hardly ever do that live because I don't want to be, depending on the lineup, I don't want to be the one guy schlepping out a cabinet. But if I know there's time and I know that I don't know what the setup is going to be, I'm not too picky.
It's a reliable monitor though also.
Exactly. Because that's the thing is I've played some places where, you got guys apologizing. Oh, I know it's just Mackie. I'm like, dude, as long as you can run it, it's fine. And then you get the defensive engineer that, well, this is top of the line. I'm like, yeah, but there's no reason it should be feeding back right now. I'm not giving you I'm not micing anything up. So if I feel like I'm going to get into a possibly shitty situation at a venue I'm already familiar with, and I know someone's got a good cab. Like, what's that? I got vintage 30s. Sick. Throw this guy in the mix.
What do
dip
you
out some of the EQ on it.
What do you use to run your playback, and how do you cue those things?
So I'm kind of like, what's funny is for years, I think I wanted to be in the Allman Brothers. Like, I just want to be in a jam band, and it'll happen again at some point. But right now, with everything on Rails, for a while I was doing full Ableton sessions, and I'd bring out like a big 18 input interface, and I had MIDI changing my patches, and I have a wireless unit so I could like move around. But I'm I'm only changing like little bits of shit, and it's too much work.
Right.
So now, dude, it's funny. I bring a computer, but as a backup, I have a flash drive. I make an audio track. This is front to back, but I leave room in some tracks where I rearrange them if I want to have jam sessions or like be able to have, this is the audience interaction point. But behind the scenes, it's very methodical. It's very clinical. I have everything arranged in Ableton where it's like, this is where you talk to people. This is when you discuss this, but I don't look at any of that shit when I'm playing. I just know in front of me is still a piece of paper with the set list, any key changes in case I'm a little too excited and forget where I'm playing at.
Are you using visuals on stage?
Yeah, I do videos for all of my shows. I think this coming up one is the only one where I'm not going to, because I haven't gotten word, but I might just in case, because it's fun practice.
And how is that presented? Do you have like big LCD screens?
A lot of venues now have projectors, or have some type of background monitor, especially if you're doing conventions. They might have LED wall you can go to. So it's like I'm a fucking AV crew too. I also bring a kit with me that's HDMI extenders, because anytime like, yeah, HDMI is fine, never trust that shit over 25 feet. So I bring, dude, it's like I'm working at AT&T over here. I got Cat5 cable. I got these little adapters. So like spending almost 10 years getting yelled at in front of corporate people really helps for knowing like what's going to break down the most. And yeah, dude, everything pretty much on my computer is just, I have an MP4 file with the audio baked in, and then I arrange everything in DaVinci and get all my transitions down. And I have all these assets on a hard drive where I watch old cartoons, or I watch, when I'm making the record, I would sit there and kids would be asleep. I'm like, cool, it's 1 a.m. time to watch a 2-hour-long nature documentary and get the good parts for this track, because I know it's in there. And then I'll capture that footage and use it for my shows.
Let me ask you this. What was it like doing this the first time by yourself compared to being in a band and having, because it's a completely different experience. It's not quite like just public speaking, but it is a solo performance.
It was weird. The first time I did it was right before the pandemic, and it was a friend who's a promoter wanted to have a thing down in San Jose. Said, hey, come out, I'm rebooting my format. There's this cool place down there called the Art Boutique, and so these people have an art gallery that also has touring bands come in and stuff. And but it was cool. It was my first gig not drinking, so it was a little rough to be the headliner at the end of the night, and you're used to like having a beer in hand.
Right.
So I had a lot of nervous energy, and it was a big like test to myself to do this. And so at that time, that was a weird one, because I didn't have I had a couple like 1 or 2 game songs, but a lot of original stuff from my band. The sound was messing up. People had a good time, but it was weird, because I had some other friends playing who are really great performers in their own right, but we wouldn't be on a bill together normally. So it was a night to bring attention to people of color and trans communities, and the headliner is a white dude coming out and playing guitar music. So I felt like, oh, I'm not the person to have it. People loved it, and it was great, and it was really like the love was felt. But I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this again. And then my band had a streaming show booked before we knew streaming shows were going to be the future. And they were, like, no, we're not meeting up. We're not getting together. Didn't know what was going to go on with this thing. So like then April of 2020, I did my first one where I didn't have a green screen. I took a blanket and I looked like a ghost, because like the transparency was on it weird. And I couldn't chroma key it right. People thought it was a part of the act. They're like, oh, I kind of like how it's, low budget. I'm like, yeah, totally meant to do that, dude. And so it was hard, because at first it's in my garage and I had nothing clean because I'm working all the time. I was never home.
Right.
And so, now it's like there's space to do shit. I can have lights and stuff set up, but it was definitely something that I got to have from the comforts of my house. And then when I finally went out and did it, when things were opening up again, it was really fucking weird. Because not only am I playing without a band and I'm playing by myself, I'm playing by myself dressed as an elf character from a video game. And I'm playing with bands that like actually have a draw and shit. And people are nervous because they're not used to being around each other. And it's also an event that's put on for the Game Developers Conference.
Right.
So I have people who also maybe aren't as used to being in front of people anyways, because it's its own audience of not people who go to shows, but game developers or people who are there to schmooze.
They're not hyper social folks.
Yeah. And I'm trying to get people to clap along and say, raise hell, praise Dale with Dale Earnhardt footage for Mario Kart. Because I'm like, well, that was also big at the time the game came out. He won the fucking cup. So we got to have that in there too. So, history and they got it. Like it was well received, but also like, so I had to realize pretty quickly, like Adam Sandler mentions in The Wedding Singer, I'm the one with the microphone. And so it's taking that power back of like, well, for the next 35 to 50 minutes, I'm dressed like this. I got a pink guitar. We're gonna do some Shanker worship to the tune of some Mario Brothers stuff. And we're all gonna enjoy it too.
Double knot your shoes and get on the dance floor.
Yeah, that's the way. No, it's you know what though, it's a lot of fucking fun. And I think when you can be that I mean, like, I've seen like real weird bands. I remember seeing my cousins up in Washington State had played a show. They were in a pop punk band in the late 90s. Loved Blink-182. They played a community church.
What were they called?
They were called Butternut. And they were out of they lived in Shelton.
Oh, sure.
And so I have family out near Olympia.
There.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And a super Walmart with some not so super people.
I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't going back anytime soon. My cousins put on a show and I was excited because I'm like, I love Blink-182 and Alkaline Trio. I want to check this out. And they had a guy come up. He dressed himself in saran wrap and they poured barbecue sauce on him. And they were playing like new metal, and I don't know if they were trying to be like Mudvayne or something, but the dude then threw up in the saran wrap.
Oh.
And I have to think about that. I'm like, if you're ever wondering if it's okay to dress like you're from medieval times and play shredding guitar, remember the dude who was the barbecue sauce mummy.
Right.
That guy had enough confidence to make it happen. If you have a guarantee tonight, that's already better. There's no guarantees there, just bad smells. So I don't even think I answered your question.
What happened to Puke Boy?
Oh man, I don't know. I know my grandma left really fast. I've never seen my grandma go to a show before. That was the one time. Wow. And once that guy threw up, it was over. She's like, she knew that little Anthony had a good voice, but she wasn't going to watch him for the sake of the vomit man.
Wow. Good for her for establishing boundaries.
Yeah, she knew what she was doing.
Yeah. Did you answer my question? I don't remember. I don't even remember what my question was.
Yeah.
Was it?
That's good. That's a good conversation. When like it can just kind of.
Was it about the?
How did it feel doing this for the first time without a band
person to a lone guitar man?
It's something that like I was also one of many people who shot on tracks for a long time. But then when you start working in sound too, and you start having to do live shows and work behind the scenes and really have to take the humility of getting shit on by different people, it kind of puts things in perspective for you. I think that's working in any world. It's like you can tell who's never worked food service or retail before,
right?
Or any level of customer service by how they treat others.
Yeah.
And you can tell who in your band has and hasn't had to like carry something over 10 pounds.
Right.
And so, I'll tell you this, as someone who really cares about how easy front of house has it, I try and make sure that like it's the easiest thing for people. And being one person, that's my selling point for some stuff. Like, I don't know, can you fill in for this show? I'm like, I don't know, can I set up in 5 minutes? I'm sure I can.
Well, let me ask you this. If you had the option, okay, Ian, you've got these 3 gig opportunities. You've got the opportunity where it's just you. That's a side, you and tracks. And then you can have one with 2 people, one with 3 people and one with 4 people. What do those lineups look like for you?
So usually when it's a 3-piece, when it's my band, this is an interesting one. It's track still, but it's my friend Nick Galvez is playing. He plays keys, and then my other friend Jay Kim, and he plays violin. But each of these guys can also play bass, guitar, sing.
Yeah.
They're all, all into different instruments. But with that project too, same thing where because it was, mostly synth music or 80s soundtrack inspired stuff, it still tracks. It's still like samples of Linn drums and things like that. But when it comes to working with drummers, I have a few different drummers that I've worked with remotely, but haven't played with in person, who all of them are fantastic. And it's kind of like, it's Sophie's choice of who you're going to pick to do stuff. But I think everyone kind of has their ability. Like, I know that I'm not the first pick for friends because we have so many of us do session stuff and work remotely. Like, we all have a thing that we excel at or do the right way. Like, if someone asked me to do perfect legato and sweep picking, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it's really nice that you think I can do it the first time, but I'm going to have these stems for you a little later than you want.
Right.
If it comes to doing that, like my perfect scenario is I have enough money to have an entire full band. I got the Steely Dan setup where you're just Donald Fagen singing and you don't have to do shit. Yeah, dude, you got a whole band, a jazz band that plays for you. That's still a part of your band, and they do get a half-hour set.
How rad would it be to have a drummer and a percussionist?
Dude, I would love it. I think that's another reason I really want to be in an Allman Brothers cover band. Or, go out and do something like that. It's just to look over and have a dude on the timpanis.
I have long dreamt of having a band with either 2 drummers or a drummer and a percussionist, and then like 2 bassists and a keyboardist.
Ever since Big Business and the Melvins synced up for those few records, I've wanted a double drummer band.
Are you kidding?
Any band, whether it's like, I think Kylesa was doing that too. Shit tons of bands have done the double drummer approach. It doesn't always work, but it always works. Even when it doesn't work and you can't tell, like maybe Doobie Brothers recordings, they're probably not doing it twice on a recording, but live, fuck yeah. Right. You're at the Shoreline Amphitheater or the Concord Pavilion, now the Sleep Train. Someone's aunt is there. You smell the grass. They're doing the Grateful Dead dance. It's a good time when you see 2 drummers out there.
My first shows were at the Concord Pavilion.
Dude, I love the Concord Pavilion.
They're
still strong, still going.
I saw Bob Seger there in the 70s.
But he's always had the Silver Bullet band with him too.
Yeah.
I guess you could say they're like a rock.
Hey. I saw Boss Skaggs, local favorite.
Fuck yeah.
What a stud. And I saw Jay Giles there.
Hell yeah.
Peak form.
Dude, the Jay Giles band was the shit.
Yeah.
For a while, he actually was hosting a radio show over here in the Bay Area. I want to say like 2015 to 17. I got the dates fucked up. But there's like, one of those rotating FM stations that's always something new. And like the longest stretch they had Jay Giles doing the morning show.
Z100. Is KFRC still there?
Oh, yeah. KFRC.
Yeah.
Right? Is that kind of the thing?
KFRC. Yeah. They've been around forever. Here,
Oh, yeah. No, that's a new one. 96.5. No, that's Coit. KOIT. I had to remember because it was just Christmas. And so it was a month of that with the kids in the car.
KOIT. Coit.
Yeah, Coit is always been here too. But there's KFRC, I think, still around.
Oh.
KOIT is. KVHS is still kicking it.
KVHS was my shit. What's their format now? Is it mumble rap?
Dude, check out my stories. They're playing. They're going to be playing some of my music on the date of this recording.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, you can go to their website. It's they have this really cool dude, Dave Hughes.
Okay.
I don't know if he's a Concord native. I just recently met him, but I didn't know KVHS. My dad would tell me he's listening to KVHS, and I thought, like, I don't know, maybe he just made a Coke can bong. He's just telling me he did.
No,
my dad will call me and tell me about a good Hogan's Heroes episode, like
KVHS was the shit, man.
Dude, they're still going strong. Most of their format is still, they mostly play classic prog rock now.
Really?
Not even kidding. They play mostly unsung B-sides. They'll be playing shit like Lightning's Hand from Kansas.
But wait a minute. Is it still the high school radio station?
It sure is. It's still in the high
There's
school. They got some
someone over
fundings. They've renovated.
there eating gummies.
I don't know who's doing it, but they're eating the right kind of gummies. This dude, Dave, really cares about KVHS. And so he started he has a whole music website, Concord Rock City.
And he's a high school kid?
No, he's like maybe 40.
Oh.
But he loves just the local community. And he's like, you got so many bands out here and you got so much music. Like, instead of them dissolving KVHS, they still kept it in the high school. It still has funding. Or I don't know if it has funding, but I know this dude runs the whole thing. And some other friends from Concord, they just gave him my music, and then he started playing it on KVHS. And they have all local Sunday nights, and he does music reviews in the Concord Clayton Pioneer magazine. Like,
oh, that's amazing.
There's still a pretty strong thing. And I haven't done anything in the Concord community since like 2012, 2013, and that's where I was like first cutting my teeth, years ago. And it's really nice to see that they're doing streaming shows from backyard house, stuff, and people are really caring. People have taken, there's this one guy who I think worked in the broadcasting department at Los Medanos over in Pittsburgh or Antioch.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's like, well, they don't have the funding, so I'm going to do it all from my house. And they're called the Concord Couch Concerts.
Huh.
So it's really cool. It almost feels like a romantic comedy. Like I'm coming back to my old town that I talked a lot of shit about, and I've discovered I'm going to stay. That's more of a Hallmark thing. It's like every holiday movie on Hallmark.
Right. That's amazing.
I don't need my big city job. This man is a hunk, and he's going to show me how to love myself and Christmas again.
The only drag about KVHS was that there was a curfew because it was high school kids. So it didn't play 24/7, and it didn't play on the weekends except for when they were doing pledge drives.
Yeah, dude, it's like 24 hours now.
Wow.
It's pretty
I wonder
wild.
if they must
do
digital, right?
Misinformation. I'm just glad people know about them,
They must stream on the web, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's how I listen to it, because I get like half of it.
Yeah.
Like I'll go like, oh, I'm gonna run groceries. They're gonna play my stuff, and then it cuts out, and it's like a different station.
I was introduced to so much music through KVHS. Death Angel, Possessed.
Yep. I think the drummer from Death Angel is in my wife's aunt's choir in San Leandro.
Really?
Because she was like, oh, someone from my choir got a Grammy nomination. And I looked it up. I'm like, it's the dude from Death Angel. So she talks about it when she comes over. We're super close. And she's like, oh, yeah, the guy in the band. I'm like, yeah, the dude from Death Angel. It's sick.
He puts the angel in Death Angel.
He really does. And then I think another person in Death Angel's kid is in a band with my bandmate's son, who's 16 or 17.
Wow.
There's a lot of the Bay Area metal tendrils have never left. I run into it. I'm glad I stopped having edibles and going to College Park's 4th of July. That's where we go every year until the pandemic. And so you go out there, have a blanket, and they'd have a cover band, playing. And every time I'd go, and my wife and I would have an edible, and then I'd go to the bathroom, and there'd be Rob Flynn from Machine Head. And that's right when I'm at the tippy top of this enjoyable time, and my glasses are off, so I can't see anything. And I'm like, "Hey, man, you're Rob Flynn." It's like, "Yeah, dude, I am." Fucking piss off, man.
Nope.
He's a nice guy.
Some other guy.
Yeah, but you get all like the Machine Head dudes are just like shopping at your local Safeway, and everybody knows everybody. And then I still learn to this day how many people know my dad. And to me, he's just like, he's the guy at the lumberyard. It's pretty sick though. But wow. Death Angel, that was it. Yeah. Goddamn. I like this conversation. We can just go in all sorts of different directions.
You have publicly shared your given up drinking.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would not ask you here, probably, because I feel like those are often conversations people share.
Yeah,
if
people
they
have their
choose
reasons.
to. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Tell me about, just because I like to talk about this stuff on the podcast, because if I just keep talking about it and eventually it, perhaps it reaches someone that needs to hear it, and it can be helpful, then fucking wonderful.
That's exactly why I talk about it. As I had a long ass. I had an emotional Instagram post about this so long I had to open another app to make a separate images. It was so
I
long.
wondered how you
like,
did that. It was like 6 panels.
Yeah, canva.com.
Oh yeah, I use
for
that.
A low subscription cost. It's a pretty cool site. You can do some quick graphics and stuff in there.
I made my fucking lyric video with that. Half that.
That's my fun thing, is seeing if I recognize assets from Canva and other people's stuff now, which is great because it means so many of us are using it.
There are only so many nuclear explosions that you can find for free.
Exactly. Oh man, yeah, dude. Drinking is something that I know I enjoy. I know because I like to have a good time. It makes the hairs stand up in the back of my head. It's a party. It's the same thing with a little bit of coffee. I don't care where it's from.
No, I love doing research. I love doing research on fun.
Yeah, it's I've thought a lot about this stuff, especially, everyone has different approaches. For me, therapy, maybe some SSRIs, not drinking. Alcohol is one of many problems. It wasn't the one thing like, no, I am cured from being a piece of shit in every capacity.
Sure.
Like, you're always going to have things to work on. But what I will say is it definitely cleared the road in front of me. Got the shrubs out from in front of my little car, so I can go up the hill a little longer. And, I love my dad. My dad also likes to have a good time. Seen him party a little too hard before. A lot of friends, you're in bands, you're traveling or what have you. You work in an industry where everyone drinks and bonds over alcoholism. It's extremely easy. And if you're funny and if you're quick, people are going to give you drinks. And wow, I'm always broke. That's even better. I get free alcohol if I play this venue. That's awesome. Now I can negotiate money and not just free beer. That's pretty great.
That's one of those things that the venues get you like, oh, well, we don't, we don't have any money for you, but, maybe you guys can have 4 drink tickets each, not just...
Can I have 5 Heineken 0.0s?
Not just 2.
I know. It depends on the show.
They're good for domestics and well drinks.
Yeah. Even though all of these drinks still came from the same logistical shipping plant in North Kingstown, Rhode Island. It's... I've gotten in some good non-alcoholic beers. I also realized that carbonation was a big thing. So I drink a lot more cherry Coke now than I ever have since I was like 10, probably.
You didn't go down the bubbly water route?
To a point. Some of it's just pretty shitty, to be honest. And people tell me it's good, and it's like, no, that's when you bought into something. It's like, this just isn't good to me. It's like gelato is not for me. It's like, yes, a rose petal smells great. I don't want to taste it. It's great that science has come this far, but I also, I don't know. It wasn't doing me any favors. It was how I would be able to confront people out of my own insecurities. And, I grew up moving around quite a bit until I finally hit my awkward phase where it was like, I was the big kid and the small kid, then the pimply kid, and then you're the beat up kid. And then you have to be the funny guy.
Right.
I found identities for myself that helped me kind of survive longer. Figure out who I am. And alcohol was always the easy one because, for me, I can't speak for anyone else. Doesn't matter how shitty my day was. You get that first sip and all of a sudden it's like, all right, okay.
Everything's cool.
Yeah, everything's cool. And that's, and I'd known a while in, it was already getting that way. But, it'd almost be when your own bands that you're in, you have all these redeeming qualities, but it's kind of like, oh, is he gonna start drinking and during the loan at the rehearsal spot because then he doesn't have to drive tonight? When other people start to echo things that you already think about yourself, it's not just you being insecure. It's like you're being confronted now with a truth about your behavior.
Right.
And so, I haven't fought anybody. Well, no one just willingly fought you because they knew they'd wipe the floor with you, you impish drunk man. Like, I wouldn't feel good punching me in the face. I'm a contemporary hobbit, and it's not enjoyable, but I tell you, there are a lot of anger issues in my family and a lot of stuff that wouldn't bubble to the surface unless I was under the influence. And then, of course, you think you're unstoppable.
Sure.
So, I would just, well, I like all these other bands that have partied, and I found excuses. It wasn't that I idolize these people. It's that, well, this has been demonstrated for me, or I'm in bands, or I'm in this, and these are the things that validate that I can be this type of person. And, especially like all my in-laws, I'm not, I don't like, it's funny, everyone makes in-law jokes. I don't like doing that. Like, I love my wife. I love my in-laws. They're the coolest fucking people
Sure.
who've taken me in. And, from the get-go, I make all of them laugh and they like me. So
Right.
they also like, oh, Ian, you want a beer? Here you go. It was never like no one ever told me you have a problem. It would be kind of brought up if I got to a point by my spouse, but like, it was always, oh, it's not that bad. But it finally, like right before COVID hit, work was just really at my job, which I finally changed my LinkedIn 2 days ago. I got rid of it. I got tired of seeing it. I was like, I don't like LinkedIn anyways. It's dumb. I'm not, I get it. Like if I'm actively like, please give me money and give me health benefits. Yeah, you want it to look nice, but
sure.
Finally updated it to be like, no, I am a self-employed musician. That feels pretty good to say right now. It doesn't always, because times they come and go in this world, but sorry, I lost a little train of thought there on that, but something involving that job.
Well, you were talking about
hell was I
changing your
saying?
LinkedIn, but we were talking about drinking and
Drinking and LinkedIn.
your
They do go hand in
in-laws
hand,
and
let me
sort
tell you.
of working and drinking.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
let's just
let me
say
ask
that
you
like
this: how has your approach to being
I
creative and your
remember now.
productivity changed since
That's
this
changed big
change in your
time.
life?
So I'll say that. Oh yeah, real quick, I remember what it was now. I had, I was working at a job. I got, I worked my way up and left, came back, got into like a higher position within a production house, and then I got demoted. And so I really thought like, oh, there's no way it's me. There's no way it's me. Fuck these people. It's everybody else.
Right.
I'm sure a part of me still thinks, fuck these dudes, not the people there, because they're good humans. But I know now looking back that I wasn't, in the best spot. And so it was just always kind of like eking out surviving in your own mind bit by bit each day. But I would start to forget things that were very important to take care of. Things like the bridge toll for my car to get to work every day, to the point where like I'm, fucking up with the DMV, dumb shit. I have children I have to look after,
Right.
and I can't like think about this stuff, but I would hyperfixate on like creative things. But then same thing where like me and my bandmates drinking kind of went hand in hand with that. Like who's got the beer, who's going to show up to the rehearsal spot with this. And it would be hard. I thought that was the thing you had to do. Was I always, when I was working on shit, I was stoned or I was drinking. But I was usually always had a beer.
Yeah.
And now I get a lot of shit done. I'll say that. A lot of ideas. I feel like I have an irritating level of energy. I could always talk before, but now like I make lists for myself. Every day has a to-do list. And not because like, I know there's some people who do that because an influencer told them this is the best way to get better at your thing. You have to make content. You have to keep a schedule. If I get too stressed out on making shit like music, I put little dates for things, and I always change it to when it's done. Because taking care of my noggin and my emotional, and mental state, and being there for, my reality, which is that I'm dad to 2 children.
Sure.
The rest of this stuff doesn't, what matters first and foremost is I'm here, that I'm a good husband, that I'm, a good person. And so letting myself know that, and giving myself that value, and not just, I don't know. It's definitely spilling over creatively, because I think that's why I'm making strong work right now, or the strongest I can by myself.
Right.
I feel like I've always worked better in teams, and I don't want to let people in too much because I don't want to be told how to do stuff. Unless it's like mix advice and shit. Like, yeah, but if it's something like creatively, I'm very staunchly like, if it's my own thing, unless it's a bad idea, like a really bad. My wife is the best second pair of ears, because she's been with me for like 11 years. And so she's been there since I was in all sorts of little like, bands and talking a lot of shit about how cool things are going to be and all these cool things I'm doing. And it's like marriage and 2 children later, full support and really can tell me what does and what doesn't work. And I think being able to really just hone in on what and not shy away from or use other things as excuses, another thing too is letting alcoholism stop me from completing something because it felt like it was going to be too difficult.
Right.
Like learning someone's part or having to do a stand-in gig and knowing I could get a solo nailed or a lick, but I don't really know if I can. Maybe I can make myself not dependable. Not that I'm actively thinking that, but I know in the back part of my brain, this kind of like fear of having to push yourself and just fall into the comforts.
Right.
Total fucking self-sabotage.
Future fucking is what.
But also not being able to say no to anybody and always taking on gigs and taking on projects and then being an asshole to everyone when it's down to the wire and I'm the last one to get their shit together and trying to make it everyone else's problem. And I, see pretty fucking, at least I think I do, clearly a lot of things and what have been bad business decisions or the strange bedfellows I've had musically and creatively or agreements I've made that I totally got taken advantage on. And I'm glad that I'm finding it out now where I feel like I'm on my own little personal incline and not when it's too late. I haven't been fucked for tens of thousands of dollars by somebody. I don't have my record owed to someone. I'm not like getting shitted out on a vinyl deal or a merch deal. Everything is through myself. Right. I have to bear the brunt of it, but I'm fully in control of it and I know what I want to do. And when it gets to be too much, I allow myself to know that and to take a step back and remember I'm doing this for me more than anything. I'm doing this to make myself happy. And it can be hard, especially when you have to face all this shit, when you do have people that you've never met and complete strangers now get an emotional high from what you provide to them. And then you feel like you have to keep everyone going. But then I also have to remember being that person on the other end. And no matter how many words of encouragement you give someone, how much are you still scrolling on your fucking phone? And like, I'm just gassing we're all hyping each other up and gassing each other up. But like when you receive it, it's a lot. I know you probably feel that too. Like, dude, you take on a lot of stuff. And I like that you don't shy away from the realities of like, hey, I'm also doing this gig right now. Or I'm doing this thing. Or I'm
going on tour this year. You have your wife. And I've
fuck, man.
Yeah. I have
has that been announced yet?
No.
I haven't listened to the last few episodes, so I don't know.
No, it hasn't. I won't say who I'm...
Is this for number 2 record?
No. I'm going on tour as the guitarist in someone's band.
Oh, shit.
Which I'm very excited about. It's some friends of mine. I've toured with them in the past. My old band, Loaded, and their band. And so I'm very, very, very excited.
That's sick. That's very exciting, man.
I worry, like, how am I going to keep my productivity? Am I going to bank a bunch of podcast episodes? Am I going to record episodes at festivals and edit them in the bus and upload them on shitty Wi-Fi? Am I going to be able to get videos done? I worry about a lot of stuff because Couch Riffs Patreon brings in just enough money now that I can pay Dawn Gunn to mix my videos. I can pay for all the services that I can pay for my internet. I can pay for Canva, fucking Riverside, fucking Libsyn. All this shit is like $600.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. And so
it's incredible though. But like that's a good feeling, but it's also scary.
It's I can't even believe it, but I'm grateful, and I know that it's not something that is just there, and so I have to keep producing. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start paying for it out of my pocket, or stop doing it, because people.
This conversation comes up a bit. Sorry, go ahead.
Because people will drop off, and then I'll lose patronage, and then that's that, right? So it's this constant thing in your mind, like, oh God, I gotta make shit. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. So
I think, outside looking in though, I think that with what you have, the thing is that there's always the people who come and they listen to you or they watch you, whatever your medium is, and then they disappear. It's not anything you did. It's just maybe you fell out of the algorithm if they're not actively pursuing it. And there's so many factors that are completely outside of your control that we worry ourselves sick about exactly that. I was feeling that for a while. A big part of this whole album even came from doing this thing a lot of my friends do called the Dwelling of Duels. And it's just
what is that?
Completely for fun video game music rearrange and remix competition that's been going on for 20 years. It's on a website, like the same website. It's its own history. There's people who do stuff for television now and for games, or are in bands like Trans-Siberian Orchestra or Maserati or other stuff.
Wow.
Who have at some point maybe covered a game or have, just put up a demo on this thing, and you all vote on it. It's anonymous. You give each other feedback, and then somebody wins. What do they win? They get a little picture of a trophy, and it's cool.
A picture of a trophy.
But it's like, but you get into that stuff, right? And you start becoming a part of a community. And then when you don't do it, you start to feel like an asshole, even though, it's okay. And I think for your case too, it's not just, well, I want to fuck off for a little bit. You're going on tour, and you're going on tour at that level. You're very communicative with your audience. And I think just letting them know, like, hey, you love me, you love what I do. There's this chunk of time I'm going to do this. It might be slow. And I've seen, this year's been a trip seeing a lot of people I've seen on YouTube, Instagram, whatever the medium is, saying, hey, I got to take a break, because they didn't do that. They didn't take that step back. And it's like, it's overwhelming. And even though I make a lot of money because of that, I'm shitting myself, and now I'm disappearing forever. Right. And some people, probably that's a good thing, whatever they need to do. But I've had to stop myself, and talk about that too, or have a completely outside non-creative, like my therapist, who has to look at me like this on a Zoom call and be like, you ever think about just taking a break?
Well, let me ask you this. How you've made reference to your mental and physical sort of well-being, and you got yourself sober right before the pandemic. So that poses some challenges. I mean, there were less opportunities for you to go out and be a social drinker.
Yeah.
I mean, there were no
which
opportunities.
Is a big part of it too.
Which is, I guess, fortunate. I mean, I had a second job at UPS when COVID first hit, and I was loading UPS semi trucks as a second full-time job at night. And the number one item that I was stacking up to the ceiling were cases of wine. People were going fucking bananas.
Dude, people were going nuts.
Also, fuck you guys, man. Those things are heavy.
It's
I
not
was so
dude,
tired.
I worked in Napa Valley for a while, and I'm sick of looking at wine cases or anything with 6 giant, like, caveman clobbers of alcohol inside of them.
Yeah. So, I guess, what was your experience like traveling through that first 6 months of not drinking? Because that's I think is the toughest part. Actually, I think the second 6 months is harder than the first 6, because the first 6 are just marked by timeline milestones, and you're like, wow, 6 months, I feel
it's
great.
An adrenaline rush.
And then after that, you start getting a little cocky. You're like, I'm pretty good. Like, I'm in a good place. Maybe I could have a road soda. But
yeah, what's funny you say that is I actually first set out, so my band was booked to play an event in Vista, which is funny. That's actually when I had messaged you like, hey, I'm down by your old stomping grounds in San Diego.
Yeah.
I was on my way to play the makeup version of that show.
Got it.
But by myself, filling in for someone else. Anyways, we were going to do it, and it's at a brewery that my friends own. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to drink until I go play this brewery show. It's going to be my thing. I'm going to go play with all my friends, and I'll have my first beer back there. And I did definitely knew I had it when I went back. I drove by myself and, went and played a show, and then asked if they had any non-alcoholic beer, and they asked if I was being an asshole. Like, we're a brewery. No, I'm like, I'm just asking. And then just had water all day, and it was chill. It was actually pretty easy to stop. And I think it also helped that like immediately it's a big change for my kids. Suddenly my daughter's thrust in front of a laptop and has to do school from home. So and I'm spending the most time with my toddler that I have consecutively, ever. So there's a lot of distractions going on, lots of things to kind of make it better. But also I had stopped about maybe like 2 months before, so it was a thing that I purposely made very public so that I would hold myself accountable, because I knew that if I didn't talk about it, I could slip back into it and I could manipulate everything to kind of work in my favor and go back. You stop for a week, stop for 2 weeks, but it was very easy, surprisingly. And then, I kind of realized like, I think the thing I missed was something to do with my hands or something to,
right.
what else can I
now you have a MIDI controller.
Yeah, right. It's just funny. Yeah, that's I'll make it sound like that all appeared, and I already wasn't just surrounded by all this shit from the get go. But it's the most use anything's got put towards. It's I don't know, man. This whole thing is a fucking trip, and I'm glad that it's one of the best decisions I have ever made. But it hasn't filled me with that really assholish like, well, I am sober.
Right.
I'm better than you. It's like, no, you smug prick. You have accomplished something great, and it's very difficult for a lot of people. But I'm not going to wave that around. I'm not going to tell people how to do it. And that's the thing. I wanted to really make that public, because every time I even slightly mention it, I get at least 5 dudes coming in there. I'm really struggling. Like, how do I do it? And it's like, sometimes, and the thing you realize, some people really want that help, and some people want to just kind of have someone hold them and tell them everything's okay for the, that conversation until it's back to regularly replying to your things and their old habits. And I can do that too. I'll give someone a hug any day of the week. I understand needing that support, and if someone's ready to do it, I'm always down to talk about it. And I try not to be too much of a bummer. It's not everyone wants to talk about it, but people have been, it went from being awkward at first, like, oh my God, you don't drink, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to offer you something. Jokingly about to take it. And it's like, it's totally cool. And I now have like, I have the best group of fans and friends. I have one of my best friends, Gene. This guy is like listens to my, if he tells you your album is okay, your album's fucking amazing. Right. He's got a great ear. And he, he came out to a show I had recently, and he and his wife brought me a case of, we went online and we looked at the best reviewed non-alcoholic beers.
Nice.
And so we just crushed a bunch of them in the parking lot until it was time to play. But then the audience sees like, oh, that dude's up there, he's partying. And it's like, this is nothing. I'm 100% here right now. But you feel a little more at ease.
Let me ask you this. What do you have planned for this year? Do you have, you said you have, did you say, is it Wisconsin? Minnesota?
Yeah, I've never been, man. I'm going to Minnesota. I get these
Lake states,
these cheese states mixed up. I just know that I was like, what's the Prince one? So yeah, I'm going to Minneapolis, and it should be pretty cool. Some friends went to this convention the first year it happened, about a week before everything got locked down. My bandmate went. He was like, hey, it's a smaller convention. It's really fucking cool. They got a great thing going on. So I did their streaming show last year, and funny enough, I played for like 45 minutes sweating in my garage, only to turn around and realize that I only played the first 2 minutes of my set and they lost the connection. So I did this like one of the most intense sets, and immediately was just like crying in my garage. But they were so cool. They gave me another slot the next morning. Like, we'll give you this other prime time.
Did you home capture that? Did you record it?
I actually didn't. I wish I did. I got the next days. I don't even remember. I know it was good, but there's a reason it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It was one of those, it's like when you go and you see someone just tearing it up regardless of instrument, you kind of want to get your phone out and record it, but you just let yourself not do it.
I've stopped doing that.
Isn't it beautiful when you have just your little memory museum of all the sick fucking show moments?
Well, because you got to ask yourself, why do you want to film that person doing that? Is it that you
are you actually going to repost it?
Do you want to share it on social media? You're like, are you going to record this person tearing it up and then share it on social media? Is it worth being the person holding the phone up in the crowd? That, being the person that you silently judge that is in front of you doing the same thing? Is it worth that?
I've done that before where
Are
I'm
you
like, I
ever
wonder what
gonna
asshole's
even
judging you.
look at the
Me.
video? And when I realized all those things, like, I'm not going to post it because I just am not going to. And I'm probably not going to look at it either because it's going to sound like shit because I don't have a stereo compressor mic, like some kind of fucking whatever.
You don't have a DI box running into someone's iPhone 13 to like get in this crystal clear. Like, hold on, let me get my iRig
I used to
Pro
have
for
this
you
really
real fast.
nice microphone that would had like an attenuator built into it, and so
Ooh.
it would the audio would sound good, and then you could doctor it up a little bit. But I just stopped doing it, and then I realized my experience at shows has been much more enjoyable.
It does help. If someone asks me to film, I'll do it. I have a buddy, Jesse. Check this guy out. He's super fucking cool. He's called Street Cleaner. He's from San Diego. He's from El Cajon, and his whole thing. He's a masked vigilante. He plays music that is just basically like RoboCop love, and it's like scenes and samples of Verhoeven films. And I think it was the last time I recorded something at a show is he came up to San Francisco. He had a sold out show, and I made sure I was in the way because I wanted to get the best shit for this dude, and he was going to get board audio and stuff. But beyond that, like I don't care to. The only person I've seen get footage of shows and it's always good is my wife. She is all about photography and capturing moments, but it's never disruptive of anyone, never in anyone's way, and it's always like really good audio. I don't know like what she does. Any phone she's ever had, it's just she gets really good snippets of live shows. But beyond that, though, anytime I've seen someone else do it, it's garbled. Yeah, no, I'm stoked. What's funny is the setup I'm using right here to talk to you is I made this for her. She joined a choir, so I have a laptop stand and I have my Antelope audio interface with hook and loop underneath the stand and shit. So it's like this way it's an excuse for me to touch gear, but also like I think she has fucking great pipes and I want it to be translated not through a webcam.
Right.
But I'm a big fan of her.
So Minnesota.
Yeah, gonna go be playing that for a few days. And I got a show coming up this week at the Elbow Room in Oakland. A good old San Francisco venue got moved across the water, and which is going to be.
What date is that?
It's going to be the 3rd of February. Thursday night.
Miss
Thursday
that.
is a new Friday around these parts.
We're gonna miss that with the
that's okay
with the airing of this. Unfortunately,
that's totally fine. It's that's going to be a fun one because it's no one doing video game music, no one doing 80s nostalgia. It's a full rock band with synths, and then 2 other friends doing a record release.
Oh, rad.
So I get to go. I like to look at this right now. When you ever been to a live TV taping?
Yes.
So I didn't know until I'd been to one that you have a warm-up comedian that comes out.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to be the warm-up comedian for like regardless of the genre. It's like, all right, I'm going to come out here and do these, really silly fucking Karate Kid 2-hand tap, sections and inspirational speeches, and you'll look at me confused. But at the end of the day, if you subscribe to my Bandcamp email, you'll find out all sorts of great stuff.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm going to do a local show. I might have some other things that I can't yet discuss because of the paperwork. That's a new thing for me, is signing things where I'm not allowed to talk about shit because I like to talk about shit. So now it's like other possible
you can't
conventions.
Talk about the pyro and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Do people still use real pyro, or is it all just video pyro?
I haven't seen real pyro in a long time. Maybe it was like the last time I saw Metallica. Who was the last show I saw pyro at? Oh, Cirque du Soleil. I want to say it was Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil had pyro.
Yeah, I think they had pyro. They got whatever operation they got going on. We got tickets to that. We took our daughter right before the pandemic happened. It was like a Christmas gift, and it blew my fucking mind. We're all in the tent and this whole multimedia experience. And I want to say there was pyro, or maybe they didn't. And you should still just go check out a Cirque du Soleil production. Great guitar players.
Though those bands are fucking dynamite.
Yeah, That if I, you know what, if I could ever get myself a cushy gig where I am hidden and in athleisure wear and just
Show
have
up in
like,
your
you know,
sweatpants.
a good little monitoring situation. Oh yeah, I'll show up every night. Yeah, I got a lot of friends who do that stuff. I mean, you've had oh yeah, I forgot, you know, you've had Pat on here, Myron.
Yeah.
That's this, you know, thing too. He's got, you know, he's doing Rock of Ages. That's a cool little gig, and got some other friends who've done, you know, karaoke nights or backing bands for stuff. And I am not shy about doing stuff like that. Weddings are fun,
The
but
karaoke band, I did a karaoke band. It was awesome. We had a
yeah, dude, that
casino,
must be
couple casino nights, a club night. It's weird. You're dealing with drunk people. You know, you're playing to a click. Some tracks, they've got the lyrics. They still fuck it up. Most people.
you have to try and thank God for the click, so you're staying in time.
Well, thank God for in-ears, because you have, you know, you had like I had a mini iPad that I would control my mix, and I would just get my cues and turn the singers down all the way. Didn't need to hear them. Didn't need to hear them. Sometimes if it was a song that required it, I would take one ear out so that I could hear where we were, if there were vocal cues, you know.
Yeah.
But it was still a lot of fun. It's like you were saying, it's like you're up there, you're playing, you see people. It was just crazy what songs would
what they gravitate towards it.
Well, yeah, you know, you do those songs. There's a handful. There's 20 songs you play every night. The Neil Diamond
Kind of give
one,
or take, like you said,
the Neil Diamond one, you know, the 2 Bon Jovi ones, the 2 Journey ones.
Of your Neil Diamonds in the rough there, is it always Sweet Caroline?
Always.
You know what's funny is that Puppeteer I told you about, the video I'll send you a link to. It starts out on a karaoke night of a puppet singing Sweet Caroline until they're booed off the stage.
I mean, I'm a Forever in Blue Jeans kind of guy. Like, that's my Neil Diamond jam.
I'm kind of a Cracklin' Rosie guy.
Cracklin' Rosie's great. Cracklin' Rosie, get on board. So
dun,
good.
Dun, 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 dun.
We're gonna. I had some friends in Seattle in the 90s. They had a band, and they did a lot of Neil Diamond covers.
Fuck yeah. They're coming to America.
We signed
probably
that
not
one
his
at
best.
Ignacio Valley Elementary.
Every year at College Park, that was the funnest moment, was just like having fireworks and a backing band, and then they stopped the cover band so they could play that song. And it's the funniest thing. You're the most proud to be in this country, and also just laughing your ass off. Rob Flynn's over there, the Machine Head guys. I'm stoned, and they're playing Neil Diamond. Only in America. That's why we're the most expensive part of the country.
What else? I'm in my intro. I'll direct people to your Bandcamp so that they can go check out the record, which I've been enjoying this weekend a lot.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I it's funny. I'm in that part of I'm not listening to that album at all because it's the month after.
Right.
So I have like 4 more music videos to make, but it's like, oh shit, I got to remember my solos, and I improv most of my stuff.
Right.
Unless I really want to compose something. So that's not fun for it is fun sometimes for music videos, but not when I'm going over like all these different chord changes and thought I was hot shit in the moment and then have to recall what I was doing. I'm trying out for myself.
You're like, fuck, I felt like a regular Larry Carlton before.
Oh yeah. Larry Carlton with like the shittiest intonation. It's like, yeah, I'm having my own Steely Dan. I'm like, this I'm Skunk Baxter on my old school right now.
You're like, nope, you're Larry Lalonde.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, talk about someone I idolize right there.
Oh, dude.
That was the big argument for like not practicing in my early 20s. It's like, you don't get it. Larry is about texture. It's like, no, I didn't get it. Larry is really fucking well rehearsed to make texture happen.
He's really good. I saw them do the Rush tour. I
missed it, and I'm so mad.
So good. Oh my God, it was good.
Yeah, that album too, of all albums to do. Like, they could have done any of them. They could have done Fly By Night, and it would have been wacky enough to go and check out. No offense to the first 2 Rush albums, but it's hearing Larry again. It's been good that they're back around. Primus is every Bay Area young shithead guitar players go to for. If I tell anyone, if you're dating, if he says he likes Primus, stay away from him, but have him in your band. My wife was getting shit. She's like, I should have known to run when you said you like Primus.
Before
man. I mean,
before we go, what else?
I have a YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm easy to find. Ian Cowell.
Yeah.
You'll see someone who looks like me, but drawn with some sunglasses. And I make some fun stuff. I don't have a schedule for anything. I think it's going to say 2 months since my last video pretty soon. And the YouTube algorithm gods are going to sacrifice me if I don't soon bestow upon them. Stuff. I'm on all the social media. Someone on TikTok said recently too, like, hey, you're back. I'm like, I didn't know I went anywhere. But it's cool that, like, you missed me, stranger. Like, it's nice to be here. I'm all over the internet. I might be coming to a city near you. It's gonna be fun to listen back on this in a few years when I'm suddenly British and have a lot more knowledge, and then I'm using in-ear monitors, and I've never used in-ears.
Oh, it's great.
I just recently went over to using a wireless. Like,
here's the thing. I went and did a gig in September, and everyone was on ears, and I didn't have ears. And so I had to just use like some shitty fucking, earbuds. And I was playing bass, so it was terrible because terrible response. I bought myself not even some really nice, expensive ones, just like, lower medium grade in-ears.
Yeah.
Game changer.
I need to do that at some point. That's a thing I think about. I have one track sometimes I'll remove it from the set depending on how the night's going, or if, like, maybe I can, I'm opening, I'll cut it out. But it was I did a Street Fighter album at the end of 2020.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 minutes on the track, but the live version's like 6 minutes. I got Miss America footage in the background. Nice. It's my audience interaction portion. I did not time out how long the section is. So it's pretty much me rambling at the audience until I hear the drum fill come back in. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, I gotta be real clever really fast. And, like, no one ever notices, but I'm like, if I could just have something in my ears go, right now, asshole, come on, like, get it ready. Then I'd be set.
It's on, you just go back and give yourself a little vocal cue in one ear. Hit me up. Okay. I got some I got the tricks for you.
Yeah, you got some stuff to show me.
I got the tricks
I'm finally, like, I now have the fly rig. It's like everything fits in a backpack. I got a guitar.
Rad.
I can, hop on some planes this year, make it happen. But it's like I'm trying to solidify the not flying 5 hours somewhere just to fuck up something I can nail in my living room.
Right. Well, if you come to New York or Massachusetts or fucking Pennsylvania or New Hampshire, whatever, anywhere in the Northeast, you got to let me know. I'll be very upset with you.
That's actually a possibility. I'm talking on a couple things where that might be possible.
Rad.
And plus I didn't do it. I meant to talk to you about upstate New York a little bit earlier. Have you ever heard of Summit? It's got a town of like 698. Lots of lakes.
It sounds a lot fishing. Bigger than my town.
My grandfather was from New Jersey, and towards later in life he was in Connecticut and he was in upstate New York. So I have a lot of fond youth memories of going out there and thinking New York was New York City,
right? And
then realizing people have rural accents there too.
Oh yeah, no, the hick accent, like the David Cross bit, the rednecks sound the same everywhere.
What part of California you from? I'm like the kind that doesn't want to.
I'm from Alaska and I talk like this, motherfucker. Yeah, well, I'm from Alabama and I talk like this, motherfucker.
Dude, I'm from fucking Lodi, California, you son of a bitch. And you come around here, you're gonna be looking different. The whole new way. The minute you leave, I tell people in the Bay Area too, it's like, dude, I know you haven't been past Livermore if you haven't heard that voice. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Lodi, fucking Modesto.
Fresno.
Yeah.
No offense to all my cousins.
Yeah. What is it out there towards Nevada, a little south and east of Sacramento? Is it called Payload or some shit like that? What is it called? It's called like fucking gold.
Dude, there's
It's like
a lot
a gold
of funny
rush town, like a dead.
Now there is Copperopolis.
That's made up.
No, I am dead serious. I go to Yosemite every year, and one of the towns we pass by is Copperopolis, and I think it's the funniest thing. Like, Copperopolis, where robot men are formed.
Copperopolis, the only Greek settlement in California.
Dude, your one listener in Copperopolis is going to be real pissed. I'm talking all this shit. Like, I went on Zillow. I was looking at their houseboats and stuff they have. It's like, it's cool. It looks like you could have like a whole season of that show Ozark there. Like, this small, quaint riverside town is actually a meth empire, Copperopolis. It'd be Showtime exclusive. I'm not going to watch it. I don't subscribe to Showtime. I don't have. That's my Canva money. I make a little bit more from Spotify. Maybe I'll think about it.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, we're 2 hours in. I gotta cut out.
Yeah, you have to have dinner.
I got family time. I'm on the East Coast. You know.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same here.
Listen, I need you to do me a couple favors. I need you to send me some photographs.
Okay.
Can you do it?
I can absolutely do that.
I need some images that I can dice up and manipulate.
You can even give me specs. You can tell me like the DPI. You can have it any format.
So if you send it to me high res, something that has your guitar and no part of your instrument or your head are cut off. Maybe a few different, if you have them, like promo shots like that.
I'll go find a brick wall downtown.
You just do it in front of the green screen because the brick wall's going away anyway.
I made the local rodeo in Contra Costa County news. Yeah. I'm trying to get my dad to do these with me where we're shirtless.
Nice.
Where it's like I took a picture of the liquor store down the street and I just put it behind me, and then I have like bump music like you get like a TMZ thing where it's like really modern and or like make some little like trap beats and stuff, and it's like, what's going on, man? Come on down here. I got Slick Ricky's, wine and liquor. Anyways, you know what I mean? It's California tweaker jokes.
Right.
I'm tired of these. My turn. Anyways, hey, this part not for the video though. I just so you know.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna stop this.
Okay.
Do you want to say goodbye?
Let it roll. Yeah. Hey, thanks everyone for listening, and be sure to check out Variety Coffee Roasters for watching, for listening.
Okay. So